Hello, hi. I had a really fun idea for a video, and so I thought I would sit down and film it and see how it worked out. The air conditioning's on, Nala's water fountain's on. Deal with it, you'll be fine. Okay, so if you have heard me talk at all about my recovery and what I've done, you know that all I've done is listen to books. All I've done is listen to audiobooks, and I think I'm at 100 something like that since July, August of last year. Between the months of like July and December, I read like 70 books, I think. And I'm not going as fast now because I can do other things, and I'm very book burnt out because all I did was listen to audiobooks. So I'm pretty burnt out, but I've never read so much in my entire life, and I don't think I ever will ever again. And so I just wanted to kind of talk about some of the books that I really loved, that I was surprised that I liked, because I've never really liked a book. I like reading my anthropology books and my more academic books. I like those, but I'm never like, I love the information I get from them, but as far as fiction books, I've never be like, oh my god, I loved reading that. I don't like reading at all. And I still kind of stand by I don't like reading. There are some things that I'm like, all right, this is fine, but whatever. But I just wanted to go through some of the books that I really liked and that I had a good opinion of, and that like really made me be like, wow, I could get into this. I have a few, I don't know how many, just however many I thought of, like whenever I first thought of books that I read that I liked, these are what came into my mind. And these are in no real particular order. I didn't read them in this order. These are just what happened. Now, I can't edit. And I don't want to ask David to do it. So instead of editing the book cover in, I have drawn the book covers. And I'm not a good artist in the slightest. I'm very bad. So this is gonna be a fun and interesting experience for all of us. So let's just go ahead and get to it. So this one I did put in first for a reason. This is the first book that I read that I was like, I loved this book. I thought it was so good. It is, you saw how shitty this is? I'll try to hold up. This is Liane Moriarty, Big Little Lies. This is the cover. These are supposed to be women. I think that's supposed to be Reese Witherspoon. Meryl Streep, I think that's supposed to be Meryl Streep. Nicole Kidman's in here somewhere. Big Little Lies. I wanted to watch the HBO show, but I didn't have HBO Max, and whenever I hit my head, I was reading a lot of Agatha Christie, which we'll get to her later on in the stack, and I wanted something else besides a murder mystery by Agatha Christie. And so I was like, well, I want to watch the TV show, let me just read the book. And I loved this. I loved it so much. I thought the humor was very funny. The fact that they were Australian for some reason made it more entertaining for me. I don't know why. And I love a like domestic drama type of deal. When I was in like middle school, I read Pretty Little Liars. This is kind of like a grown-up Pretty Little Liars in a way. It's not as like, who's the killer? But I really like it. And the comedy of like the school drop-off and like this clique of moms doesn't mess with this clique of moms, and they bring baked goods, but how dare she bring the pink goods? We needed to bring green. That, I love that. It makes me laugh so hard. It's so enjoyable. But I really like it. And I really liked the ending, loved anything about it. And this made me read all of Liane Moriarty's work. And this is still my favorite. I have other ones that I like as well, but Big Little Lies really set things off for me. Next, we have Richard Osman and the Thursday Murder Club. This is supposed to be a fox. I can't fucking draw a fox. I describe this as Scooby-Doo, but for like with elderly people instead of like Shaggy and Scooby and whatever. It's these people that live in a retirement village who, I think one is an ex-spy, someone else is like an ex-army person, and they live in this retirement village, and they have the Thursday Murder Club, where they get cold cases, and they just go through it to see what the police missed and how they could solve it and whatever, and they end up getting a real life active case that they kind of like bud their way into. It's very charming, the characters are very sweet, and it's like, they actually like do really help a lot. And then there's some like, they don't know how to use a telephone very well, and they like, people are driving too fast, and it's very funny. I read this one, and then the second one, The Man Who Died Twice, I really like that one as well. And then there's a third one coming out in September that I will be reading because I really like it. So Richard Osman, The Thursday Murder Club. It's very cute, very charming, very fun. And again, it's Scooby-Doo, but with old people. And it's great. I had a fun time reading this. This one, I was so surprised to like as much as I did. So, Big Little Lies, Reese Witherspoon's in it. And I know Reese Witherspoon has a book club, and so I'm like, oh, well, I really liked Big Little Lies, and she produced the show, maybe I'll like her book club. I don't really like her book club that much, but this book was in the book club, and I was really surprised. It is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, and this is supposed to be like someone kayaking in the marsh and whatever, I don't know. But I wrote the little book club sticker on there. This book is about this girl who, her name's Kaya, I think is that her name, who lives in the marsh of South Carolina, I think. And she doesn't go to school. Her and her family are very, very poor, very, very rural. They just live in this marsh. And it's just about, it's a coming of age that's also mixed in with a murder trial where she's on trial for murder against this one popular guy in the town. And it kind of follows her through her life and everything that happens. And I don't really like coming of age stories. I find them very cheesy, but this one was really good. I fell in love with Kaya. I also don't like very Southern things because I don't know, I just don't like it. This was, I mean, it talks about hush puppies and cornbread and growing okra and all that stuff, but I really like this, and the ending is really cool. You don't like expect the ending to happen that way. And what happens in Kaya's life is, I like it. It's pretty good. And it's very different. The big thing is like she grows up in the marsh, and so that's all she knows. And she knows everything very well in the marsh. And it ends up becoming her career one day to know what happens in the marsh. So this was really good. I did not expect to like it, but I really liked it. Okay, this book. I do not shut the fuck up about this book. I absolutely love this book. This is A Gentleman in Moscow by Armour Towles. Sure. He's supposed to be like looking out a balcony, like in a hotel. It's supposed to be whatever. This is about a count. I think he's a count. I don't remember his name, but a count who, during the Russian Revolution in like the early 1900s or somewhere around there, gets sentenced to life in prison in a hotel. Like life in prison, but like house arrest. He's on house arrest for the rest of his life in this hotel. In the, I don't remember the name of the hotel, but whatever. And so you see from his perspective of how Russia changes over the years. I think he gets put in there when he's like late 20s, early 30s. And then you see Russia throughout the next few decades from his experience being inside the hotel. And I love the writing. It's very beautiful. It talks a lot about like Russian philosophy and Russian ways of life. And the Count is just a very lovable character. There's some other characters that come in that you also fall in love with. And the ending, I did not expect the ending, but the ending's pretty good. And I just really loved getting to know the Count, and he lives just the same day every day for the most part, because he's just trapped in the hotel, but he really makes the best of it, and it's really sweet to see. And I could relate to being stuck, but he is not as stuck as I am, but it's very sweet. It's very charming. I love the writing. I know, but my stepmom tried to read this book, and she didn't like it, which is fine. You don't have to like it, but I really liked it. So, Gentleman in Moscow, and this inspired me to read more Russian things because I don't know really anything about Russia. I should be reading Ukrainian things, but Gentleman in Moscow is a very good book. This book made me fucking cry at the end. When I finished it, I was sobbing. This is another book that I was like, I love books. I don't love books, but this was like a moment like, books are so great. It is incredible. It is The Book Thief. Now, I can't draw, right? So like this is supposed to be a girl, and then these are like people standing. It's by Marcus Zusak, Marcus Zuak, whatever. Book Thief. It's very popular. I've heard the name before, but I never knew anything about it. I just knew it was a book, and I think it was a movie, whatever. But if you Google the synopsis, it's about World War II and the Holocaust through Death's eyes, through Death's point of view. And that is true. However, there's only like a few instances where it's like truly only Death's point of view. Like, it really follows this one girl. I forgot her name, but I read it a long time ago and I have memory issues. But it follows this girl. Her parents were communists, I think, and so they got taken away by the German government. They're in Germany. And so she gets sent to a German ghetto, and I forgot what city it is. Maybe Munich? I don't remember. To live with her like uncle or someone that they know. And it's about her life there and her getting adjusted, and then like the Holocaust, and like there's a conversation with Jews. I don't know. Basically World War II. And it is so beautiful. You fall in love with the characters. I don't want to like give anything away, but like it was so touching for me to read this after I have been to Auschwitz and I have seen where some of these people end up. And just being like in the space, you really feel the fear and you really feel the awfulness. And I was able to put that in to this reading and really feel that dread. And I think it made it so much more impactful than if I would have just read it without have gone to Auschwitz and seeing it, or the Anne Frank house, because we also went to the Anne Frank house. There's one chapter that like just got me, and it was Death's first day at Auschwitz. And he talked about how, you know, he said something like, I think Death is a man. I don't know, whatever. But Death was like, everyone thinks Death loves war. Everyone says that, but really we hate it because it's constant work and we're constantly doing things. We're constantly trying to pass people over and it's exhausting and it's like needless. And so his first day at Auschwitz, he says it's like the worst day he's ever had. And again, I was there. And so this was so touching. The ending made me cry because some people die. And I was like so attached. And it's just, everyone needs to read this book. I Googled, at some point I Googled books you have to read, and this popped up. And I agree, you have to read this. Another one that popped up was The Kite Runner. I don't have it on here in my sheets, but that's another one that you should read. This one is very interesting. Speaking of, I don't know, no, this is not related. This is Devil in the Dark Water by Stuart Turton, whatever. This is supposed to be like, there's like waves behind it, and there's like anchors and whatever. The premise of this is there's this ship, this like cargo ship that's leaving from Amsterdam and going to Indonesia in like the 1600s, like 1615 or something like that. And they're getting on this ship. Are they leaving from Amsterdam, or are they gonna stop in Amsterdam? I think they're leaving from Amsterdam. No, they're stopping in Amsterdam. They're leaving from I don't remember, but they're leaving, you get it. And there's some passengers on board, some like richer passengers. And then there's the crew and before they get on the boat, this old sailor who has leprosy catches on fire and is like, if you go on this boat, everyone's gonna die. There's a demon on board. Everyone's like, okay, chill out, Gary, like whatever. And then weird stuff keeps happening. There is a demon that they see in like the cargo space, and they're trying to figure out what the hell this demon wants. Why is it here? And why is it causing all of these crazy things that they get stuck like in a storm for days, and like their food goes, like all this stuff. And I don't like the end. The ending is not good. The ending is such a letdown. But the like suspense in the build with the demon, the devil, it's so good. It's kind of creepy, which I don't really know. I don't really like creepy stuff, but this is pretty creepy. And it was so entertaining, and I don't know, I just really liked it. And it was a very good book. The ending ruins it. This would have been a 5-star book if the ending was different. But the rest of it I liked it. It was very beautifully written. I was in suspense. I didn't know, like, it was a mystery. I didn't know what was happening. And, you know, someone dies and I figure out because, like, the room and then someone's below, they could stab him through the thing. I don't know. I like murder mysteries. And this is kind of that, not really. All right, this next one is not surprising to literally anyone. Harry Potter. I didn't want to draw every single book because that would have taken a long time. So Harry Potter 1 through 7. And did you know Harry Potter doesn't have an author? That's crazy. It just like got downloaded into our brains, and there's not an author, which is so great because that means there can't be anyone to compromise the integrity and the lovableness of the text. Crazy. Harry Potter. I love the movies, and this is my first time reading the books. And let me tell you, if you're a fucking person that's like, the books are so much better than the movie, they're the same. They're literally, the first 3 are exactly the same. And then they start getting a little different, but the premise and the essence is the same. The only thing that's different about the books is you get more detail. You know, you get more, I don't know if it's the camera or me, whatever. you get more detail and you get more time with the characters, you get more time with the story, which is good, which is cool because you get to, you know, love them more and you get to know more about them. But it's the fucking same. I still liked it, still had a great time. Order of the Phoenix almost made me want to rip my, like, kill myself because it was so long. And Order of the Phoenix is my favorite movie, not my favorite book. My favorite book is The Half-Blood Prince. But it was a good time, and I learned a lot of trivia that I didn't know I needed to know, and it was a fun time. I don't think I'll ever read them again, but I'm glad I did it when I could. Okay, this is a twofer. Oh my god, we're like kind of almost done. Oh my god, we are kind of almost done. Wow. Okay, this is a twofer because I like them both and they're kind of the same a little bit. So we have Lucy Foley with the guest list and the Paris apartment. I drew both of them. So here's the guest list. This is supposed to be like a mountain and you're on a boat, whatever. This is also a Reese Witherspoon book club. And then the Paris apartment, you're supposed to be like, there's supposed to be like apartment buildings as a corner. I can't draw that, so we just do this. Now, these have kind of similar premises. This one, the characters are going to a wedding on an island in Ireland, but it's storming, and so everyone's like trapped, and they're staying on the island. Everyone's trapped on the island until the end of the wedding. This one, this sister is going to spend time with her brother in Paris. She gets there, he's not there, she can't find him. And she needs to find him, she can't afford to live anywhere else. This one has more movement than this one does as far as like in the city, whatever, but both by Lucy Foley, and they're very good. They're very suspenseful. I wanted to know more. I wanted to know what secrets these people had. I wanted to know the big drama, the big deal, you know. I wanted to know it, and they're very entertaining. There's another one that's The Hunting Party. Don't read that. The Hunting Party is literally this, just not as good. It's same premise. They go to north of Scotland to be in a log cabin for New Year's, and it snows and they can't leave and they find a body. So like, same thing. Read this one, not The Hunting Party, but these are both very good. The Paris Apartment came out a few months ago and I really liked it. I was not expecting to like it. It's a little bit more chaotic than these are because there is more movement because you're not like super, she can leave the apartment. But I really liked it. And being in Paris, I enjoyed it, so. Thank you, Lucy Foley, for entertaining me. Now, actually, I'm gonna save this for last because it's important. So this one very much surprised me. I saw this came up to me on Goodreads. I have my preferences. I like historical fiction and mysteries and thrillers and, you know, different stuff. But this one was, historical fiction is typically my favorite. And this one just popped up and I was like, sure, I have nothing else to do, let me get it. So I read it and oh my god, it was so good. This is Ruta Sepist, whatever. And it's I Must Betray You. Now, this is supposed to be like storming, there's supposed to be like a Capitol building and there's a guy holding a Romanian flag with like a, he like cut out the USSR or the, whatever. He cut that out. Dave's gonna be so mad at me. The sickle and the whatever the fuck, he cut it out. So, I don't know if you can tell the detail, but I Must Betray You. There's the author if you want to look it up. This book is about this family that lives in communist Russia in the 80s, or Romania in the 80s. And the boy, the brother, like the son, gets pulled aside and said, we found that you have American money, it's contraband, and if you don't want your entire family to go to jail, you have to spy on this other family for us. And he's like, oh my god, sure. And it's basically, that's the premise, but it basically just talks about what living in communist Romania in this time was like, living under this specific president, Dostoevsky, no, I was about to say Dostoevsky, I think that's a Russian author, under this one president's reign, and eventually kind of finds out that everyone's spying on everyone. And when people realize everyone's spying on everyone, they want to start a revolution to free Romania. Because at this time, other countries are getting freed, like Ukraine, and I don't remember, but like other countries are being freed from the USSR and they also want to be freed. And it just kind of shows like how people that were living in this world during this time were like so heavily brainwashed by their government and just by the terrible conditions they lived in. And it was heartbreaking, but it was also so interesting. And it was, you know, for some reason, the boy thinks that his best friend told on him about the money because it's the only person he showed it to. But then the best friend's like, what are you talking about? Whatever. And then that's basically the same thing. No one knows who's spying on each other. So you can't even trust your best friend. You can't trust your parents. You can't trust anyone because they're in such strict rule. And the ending is very satisfying. So it was a good like revolution story. I really liked it. I need a drink of water. Let's do this before we go to the last one. Okay, this is a physical. I actually have this book. I didn't draw this. The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. I just call him Bessel. But I've talked about this book before, I think. It was my first nonfiction book that I read. Like I would listen to it on Audible and then like follow along and see it. Like I've underlined and made notes and all sorts of stuff. It is about it's the body keeps a score, brain, mind, and body in the healing of trauma. It's basically how your body holds on to trauma, consciously or unconsciously. And I have had a lot of people tell me I need to kind of like, I've had a lot of doctors tell me that I need to like connect my body, and I haven't, and I didn't, because I didn't believe in feelings. I don't believe feelings are real. They don't have real manifestations. They're just thoughts, and you can will them away, and then there you go. And then I read this book and realized that's not really true. You can't just will it away. You gotta like deal with it, or else it has very bad physical implications. And this book kind of changed my thinking. It changed my approach to this recovery. It changed my approach to emotions. And it's very helpful. There's a lot of tools in here. The first half is basically like understanding trauma and how it's physically held in the body. And each chapter has many different studies that were done about how like we looked at 100 kids in foster care who had this degree of abuse, and this is how their brain looked, or, you know, just different stuff like that. And then the second half is how to help your body with this trauma. And so, yeah, I feel like this along with my injury has really taught me how to connect my mind and my body. And I'm very much more in tune now than I used to be. So I have to give props to Bessel. Yay, Bessel. Yay, Bessel. All right. The finale for the dame herself. We, of course, like, how could I talk about books that I've loved and books that I've read during this time without talking about the queen of mystery? Hang on. I'm doing a lot of talk up, but I can't even grab the papers. Agatha Christie. How can we not talk about Agatha Christie? I have read, I think, 21 Agatha Christie books during this time. Yeah, I think 21. All of them Poirot's. Well, I've read all of her standalones without Poirot, and then I've read a lot, like 20 whatever of Poirot. And I picked two of my favorite Agatha Christie books to talk about. I could talk about Agatha Christie in a whole different episode, a whole different video, because she's the first thing that I read. I'll tell you how I found her. It was my like first or second week of hitting my head, of it being in recovery, and I was trying to find podcasts to listen to because the doctor said to reintroduce sound. This might have been second or third week. And I was listening to Phoebe Judge Criminal. Don't really listen to her anymore, but I was listening to her then, and then she advertised Phoebe Reads a Mystery. It's another podcast that she has where she just reads mystery books to you. And the very first one was The Mysterious Affair at Styles. And I had nothing else to do, and I think her voice is very soothing, and so I listened to Phoebe Judge read The Mysterious Affair at Styles. And then did I listen to her read Murder on the Links? I'm not sure, but that was very entertaining for me. I love a murder mystery. I've always loved murder mysteries, and I've never read any. I just like movies like that, like Clue. Love Clue. And it was very fun. It was like good for my brain. It's not really hard to follow along. And it was short. It was just like a few hours, like 5 hours, I think. And it was great. And so then once I realized I like Agatha Christie, I just listened to a book every single day. Every single day, or like over 2 days, I would read an Agatha Christie book. And that's what got me through the first few months of this injury, was Agatha Christie. And I love her. Some of the stuff is problematic, but I love her. So let's start with the standalone Agatha Christie. Endless Night. This book is a little problematic because it uses the gypsy slur in it. One, to refer to a house, like a manor, like an acreage, but also to refer to a person. So that's not great. But Endless Night is my favorite Agatha Christie standalone. I devoured this book, but it was so good. I could not stop listening to it. It is about a guy who meets this girl and falls in love, and they get married and live in this house, the Gypsy Manor. I don't know what else to say for that. Just pretend I bleeped it out. And it's written so well, and it's so interesting, and it's written in the first person of this guy, and you kind of have an unreliable narrator, which my dad's calling me. I'll call you back, Dad. You kind of have an unreliable narrator. It's very fun. I loved it. So, Endless Night, fantastic. Oh, there's a poem that goes along with it. It's like, some are born to sweet delight and some are born to endless night. And that's kind of like haunting, and it kind of is the theme of the book. And then my favorite Poirot, because I've read a lot of him, I love him. My favorite Poirot, and I feel kind of basic for saying this, but this is popular for a reason. This is her best-selling book for a fucking reason. Murder on the Orient Express. Do I need to say more? Murder on the Orient Express. It is a closed, what is it called? A closed space mystery? Closed-ended mystery? They're in one space, they can't go anywhere. They're on the Orient Express, going from somewhere to somewhere. I don't remember where. Istanbul to, no, he left Istanbul, I don't know. And it snows, there's snows on the track, and they can't go anywhere, so they're trapped on the tracks for a few days. And there's a dead body in first class, and they don't know who did it. So they spend the time trying to figure out who killed this person. And just read it. The ending is very good. It's very frustrating sometimes, because you're like, because sometimes Miss Christie will give you like little hints. And if you pick up on it, you're like, oh, I can see where this is going. You can't do that in this. Not at all, you can't do that in this. And it's very fun because of that. Same thing with, I thought the same thing with Crooked House, but that's just me. But this ending is very good. It's very satisfying. It's very fun. I know there's a movie. I want to watch the movie and see if it's any good, but yeah. So those are some of my favorite books that I've read. I don't know if I'll do another one of these because I'm trying not to read as many books. I want to like do something else with my life. But if you're interested to see what books I am reading currently, I do update my Goodreads. I don't give any reviews, I just do stars, but I will say what I am reading, what I'm currently reading, and update that as it happens. Right now I'm currently reading Master and Margarita, and Cultish is another book that I'm reading, and it's so hard for me to get through Master and Margarita. I like the book so far, it's just I've been trying to read more classics. I'm a little classiced out. But yeah, follow me on Goodreads if you want. You can see my books, and yeah, if you need an Agatha Christie recommendation, hit me up. I got you. Unless it's a Miss Marple. I have not read any Miss Marples, but whatever. Also, this video would not be possible without my Audible subscription, so thank you, Dad, for the Audible subscription. And Libby, the app, thank you, Bonnie, for letting me use your library card so I could listen to books on Libby. And apparently she says she gets notifications when I, I almost said adopt, when I borrow something, so she's kind of up to date on all this. But yeah, and thank you to Amazon for letting me buy this book. All right, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna upload this video. It's pretty long, so it's gonna take a long time. But thank you for watching my booktube video. Maybe I'll do some of the worst books, because I've read some also fucking terrible, because I like the shitty mysteries, like the shitty, like, she was sleeping with my husband. There's been a lot of bad ones of those. But anyway, I will see you in the next video. Waiting for this remote. Goodbye.